Hello and welcome back to Joe's Math Tools. In our session today, we are solving a rational equation using our LCD, and this is going to be a good one. So if you're ready, let's get started. When solving our rational equation today, let's begin by first finding the LCD for our denominators. Now, in our denominators for this question, we have z minus 4 and we also have z minus 5. Now for this question, remember that these are two separate expressions, and since these are the only two terms in our denominator, these two expressions will be our LCD. So we're going to be changing our fractions into their equivalent form, where z minus 4 and z minus 5 is their LCD. So let's begin by finding converting our first fraction into its equivalent form, where we have these two expressions in our denominator. Now for this one, I'm going to set it up a little different. Now, the setup that I'm going to be using today is usually the setup that is used when we typically work it out in the equation form or on the equation, where you will see that the LCD is found and then you will be multiplying your fraction to the LCD. So that's the setup that I'm going to use for this question, because it's going to make it a whole lot easier in terms of canceling and multiplying to find the LCD. So I'm going to be using this format for my conversion. Now I know you've seen me use the other way with the fractions. With the fractions, it's easier that way, but when we start getting these different expressions and sometimes equations involved, this method is going to be a whole lot easier, because it's going to help you to keep track of what you should and should not be multiplying to. Okay, so I'm going to be canceling my z minus 4 and my z minus 4, and now I will be multiplying my 2z to everything that's inside of my parentheses, which is the z minus 5. So 2z is multiplied to the z, which will equal to 2z squared, and then my 2z will also be multiplied to the minus 5, which will equal to, we have 2 times negative 5, which will be negative 10, and we will just return the z, because negative 10 times z will equal to negative 10z. So we have 2z squared and minus 10z. So now that we have converted our first fraction into its equivalent form, we're now going to be doing the exact same thing with our second fraction. So in our second fraction, we have 2z minus 4 over z minus 5. Now once again, I'm going to do that same format so that I can keep everything simple and easy when it comes to my multiplication, so that everything can flow a whole lot smoothly. So I'm canceling out my z minus 5. I'm multiplying these two expressions together. Now for this, I am going to expand them, because as you can see, I'm going to be working with a quadratic equation, and I'm looking to solve this question by using the factoring method. So I'm going to work to my working for expanding these two expressions right in the corner here. And as always, I am going to go through the working for my people who may not be up to speed or not as quick as the others, so that you can follow along with me as I work them out. So remember that 2z will be multiplied to z, which will equal to 2z squared. 2z will then be multiplied to negative 4, which will equal to 2 times negative 4 is negative 8z, and negative 4 will be multiplied to z, which will be negative 4z, and negative 4 will be multiplied to negative 4, which will equal to a positive 16. So let's simplify. We're going to return our 2z squared 8z minus 4z will equal to negative 12z. Remember, our rules of integers tells us with the two negatives to add the numbers, keep the negative sign, and I'll return my plus 16. Okay, so this would be my equivalent form, which is 2z squared minus 12z plus 16. Okay, so now that we have changed both fractions into their equivalent form, we're now going to begin solving this equation so that we can select our like terms and find out what exactly is the value for my unknown variable z. Please be careful with your working. Make sure that you return everything to the equation as it should be. I'm stressing this because if you've seen one of my other videos, I didn't transfer my information from my working to my question correctly, and I didn't realize it until I got down in the question and realized that something was a little bit off, and I had to backtrack, make my correction, and then go through the whole working again. So let's be mindful of those little things. These mistakes happen, but just try to be as attentive as possible. So let's collect our like terms together. So we have 2z squared, and I'm bringing this 2z squared over to my 2z squared. So it's just added here. I'm going to subtract it on the opposite side. Now I have minus 10z, and my 12z is being subtracted. So when I move that to the left hand side, that will be plus 12z. And my 16, for the moment, I will just leave that there. So let's clean up the left hand side of our equation, and then we will begin wrapping up what's left for our equation. Now with my 2z squared and my 2z squared, these will cancel, so I'm not going to have to include those back in my equation. Now negative 10z plus 12z will equal to my positive 2z. Remember that negative 10z plus 12z is the same thing as plus 12z minus 10z, just in case your integer scale is not as tight as it should be. So that will give us our plus 2z. And we have our 16, so I'm going to now divide both sides of my equation by my 2. My 2's will cancel, leaving me with just z. And 2 divided into 16 will leave us with 8. So my z is equal to 8. So now for the fun part. So we said that z is equal to 8. So let's apply our substitution and replace 8 everywhere in the equation that z is. And then we will begin simplifying both sides of our equation to see how all of this is going to work out. So let me clean up right in the middle here for a second. Okay, so let's begin working out the left hand side. So 2 times 8 is 16. 8 minus 4 is equal to 4. And 16 divided by 4 is equal to 4. Okay, so let's work out the right hand side of our equation. So 2 times 8 is equal to 16. And then when 16 subtracts 4, that will equal to 12. 5 minus 8, 8 minus 5, sorry, is equal to 3. Now when we divide 3 into 3 and 12 into 3, we are going to get 4. So both sides of our equation equal to 4, which means that z equals 8 is the correct answer for our equation. Okay, so there you have it. We just worked through this question. Fairly easy. It seemed a bit tricky at first. You may have thought that we are going to work with a quadratic equation based on our question format, but it didn't work out that way. So remember that when solving these equations, do what you know you should do. Don't get frazzled, don't panic, or don't get confused looking at numbers. Take each step by step, do what you should do, and then Before you know it, you'll be unsolved or completed the entire question. So I hope this was very helpful to you. I hope you were able to work through the question along with me. But still yet, get some practice in, develop your skills on Jules Math Tools, where we make math easy.